Hi everybody, it's Greg Anderson, and today I want to do an in-depth review of this new light that I just picked up a few days ago. This is the Neewer JY-LED 1000S. It's a bicolor LED panel light, and well, let's get into it. There are similar lights out there from Neewer, and they use 480 LEDs, these little bulbs here under the diffusion. And this one, however, has 960 LEDs. So imagine, I've seen some videos online, some reviews of the 480 LED version, and if you imagine you just cut this in half and only have half of it, that would be the size of the 480 LED version. This one's just double that amount. And the reason I wanted to go with this larger one is when it's bicolor like this, it means that you've got these rows of LEDs here. Every other row is tungsten color, every other row is daylight color. So when you turn on the tungsten colored LEDs, only half of these are turned on. Daylight colored LEDs only the other half is turned on. And there are situations where this is very handy. You can actually mix the colors a little bit depending on where you are. Maybe you're in a place where it's not purely daylight color light around you, or it's not purely tungsten color around you. So it's very handy to be able to mix that up. But I tend to want to control the lighting as much as possible, and when I do, I usually would rather go with tungsten colored lighting when I'm doing small interview situations, or even a situation like what you're seeing right now. So that's why I thought I would rather have twice as many LEDs, giving me just twice as much light to work with, and pay a little bit extra. Actually, this didn't cost me that much more than to buy a pair of the Neewer fixtures that were, half this many LEDs. So, all right, so let me slide this on. I think, you can take this diffusion off if you want to, but I think that I prefer a little bit more diffused light. So I'll leave it on. Plus, I think it will protect the LEDs if you just leave it on most of the time. And because I have so many LED bulbs in there, I can afford to lose a little bit of the intensity because I've got the diffusion on there. So right here on the back, oh, this is nice. You have the controls here, and it's just two dials. One for the, it's a dimmer for the, it says yellow, but it would be the tungsten colored LEDs, and the other one says white, which would be the controller for the daylight colored LEDs. Also, just a simple switch here. You put it in the middle, that's the off position, and then there's the one side that has one line on it. That would be appropriate if you wanted to use an AC adapter. Plug that in right there, and then you can turn it on. Okay, I didn't have it plugged in all the way. All right, so there you go. Now it's on. Again, one for one color, one for the other color. And that's pretty simple. All the way up, all the way down, or you could mix them as needed. So again, with the switch in this position, it will only try to get power from the adapter coming from wall power. And then in this other position, that will try to get power from this battery plate right here. This is made to be used with Sony V-mount style batteries. They can tend to be expensive, but maybe you already have equipment that uses the V-mount style batteries. It's kind of an industry standard. If you already have the batteries, good for you. If you don't, the batteries are expensive, the charger can be expensive. So is there an alternative that you could still use this with batteries without having to go with quite that much expense? And so, yes, there is. I got one of these. This is a V-mount adapter, which will allow you to use two of the Sony NP-F style batteries together in place of a V-mount battery. Now, these are about half the voltage of a V-mount battery, and so sometimes you can find these adapters and they have a little circuitry inside that will step up the voltage so that just one battery will then provide enough voltage to replace a V-mount battery. This adapter is not quite that fancy, so the way that you double the voltage is you have to use two batteries together. So if one battery is not charged or if you're only trying to use one battery's not even plugged in, it won't work. But if you have two charged batteries together, it will put them in series, and then you can just attach this here, snaps into place, and now, completely on batteries, I have, ta-da, fancy video light. And so this can be very useful depending on your needs. So you're shooting video, you want to go somewhere where you don't want to drag cables around, or I know I was in a place once where we were, it was an indoor pool, and we were interviewing somebody next to the pool, and there was this huge room. It was indoors, but because there was a swimming pool in there, all the deck area, everywhere, there were no power outlets anywhere in the room. I would have had to drag a power cord from another room to get in there if I wanted to use these plug-in lights. So in that case, we had some lights that ran on batteries, and presto, you're set. Or maybe you just, you know, it's going to be a quick interview with someone. You just want to be in there for like 5 minutes. Boy, how could it be any easier then? You've got battery-powered lights, put your stand up, turn on your light, and you're out of there. You never had to find a place to plug in. I did a little test on these two batteries. These are the largest available as far as this NP-F style batteries go. So it would have the longest capacity for runtime. And I ran just the, what was it? Just the incandescent color bulbs, and just turned it on, left it on, and it ran for just over 3.5 hours continuous. So I would hope that if you need to go more than 3.5 hours in a location where you can't plug in to the wall somewhere, then, you know, that's a bigger problem than most of us will deal with. But to have a nice bright light like this that can be completely cordless and will run 3.5 hours straight, I like that a lot. So, okay, so I got that. And it also came with a stand, and I like this stand a lot. It's a pretty sturdy stand. It's a pretty good, you know, heavy metal stand. And here on the top of it, it has the correct receptacle for this particular light, you know, so you can get that on there. But if you just take this little rubber thing off the top, it's got a little threaded adapter there that will fit a lot of, you know, maybe you could stick a DSLR on there. If you've got an adapter for a GoPro camera, a monitor, there are a lot of accessories that could use this small little screw-on thing that's similar to a tripod plate. And so you got a nice sturdy stand for like a little GoPro camera or something. This 3-segment stand, so when it's fully extended, it's about 8 feet tall. So that's a nice stand that they threw in with the package that I bought. The package that I bought was 2 of these. 2 lights, 2 stands, 2 power adapters, $250 for the whole set. It did not come with this V-mount adapter. So that was a separate thing. The smaller version of this, by the way, that only has half as many LEDs, the battery plate on that is already made to take these smaller Sony batteries. You don't need a V-mount adapter for that guy. But for me, I just thought, again, I wanted a more light. I went ahead and splurged for this relatively inexpensive adapter, and now I have battery-powered light. Now, one other thing I should mention here, and this is kind of where maybe going with something inexpensive can come back to bite you. This power adapter that comes with it, okay, it's fine. You know, it puts out 15 volts and 5 amps, and that's what it needs. But the cords on it are short. I told you this light stand can go up to 8 feet tall, but okay, this cord here, so you got the adapter here, and out of this side goes the cord that plugs into the wall, right? And out of this side is the cord that plugs into the light. And this guy's right in the middle. And all together, you've got about just under 4 feet of this cable on this side, and about 4 feet of this AC outlet cable on this side. So 8 feet altogether. If you have this set up on this stand, and the stand is 8 feet tall, and this you have no spare cable. You have to get some sort of extension cord to make this work, and that's kind of a pain. But the part of it that I really didn't like is this is only about 3.5 feet here. So if your light stand is more than 3.5 feet above the ground, then this is going to hang. And when this hangs, of course, it's going to put stress on this connection here and on this connection here. So right here where the cable is, you've got 2 stress points where that's going to have some, but also, that could put some stress in here in the light fixture itself. So I don't like that. But I decided to work around it. Maybe you've noticed already. I put some Velcro here, and I wrapped this cable up over itself. So this part isn't very long. So now I can plug that in, and I just put this here. So now, if you look at the back of my light stand when this is going, this is what it's going to look like, because it's going to have the power supply right there. And then I've just already added a little extension cable for the AC outlet. And so that's my solution. Again, when you save some money, you might miss a few features. This one, it's my only real complaint about this light kit that I got, is that the cords were just too short on the power supply. I already had a notion that I was going to use batteries anyway, but I think there are many times when I will want to use a power supply, and I certainly don't want the cord hanging down and stress points on where this is hanging in the air next to the stand. One other thing that I'm concerned about, and I don't know if it's going to be an issue or not, but right here, you've got this adjustable ball here, and so you can aim this light, even when it's on the stand, you've got some play there and you can aim it around. That's great. And then you just tighten this here, and then, it'll stay in whatever position you've left it in. When you put it all back away in the bag that came with it, you slide this off. And by default, it's supposed to slide in the other direction. But then that would put this little handle on this side where I wanted to put the power supply. There's actually a little receptacle down here, so that when you tighten this nut here, it comes out and kind of fits into that receptacle. And so what I did was I just got out some Allen wrenches and a 2mm Allen wrench. I loosened all 4 of these screws, and I just turned it around 180 degrees so that now I can mount this the opposite direction, and it still goes into the little hole that it's designed to go into. And so that gave me room here to squeeze the power supply on this side, because on this other side, when you've got this handle and you've got this little release for the V-mount battery or the battery adapter, this is a little too crowded there. So you can do that, or I suppose you could try to mount the power supply somewhere else on here, or try and secure it to the light stand, whatever you want to do. Oh, but there's one other thing about this that concerned me a little bit. If you look really closely in here, there's kind of a ball inside this receptacle here, and the ball has this little rod welded to it. And you can see right there where they've welded it, there's like 3 little spots where they've welded it on. And so it'll probably be okay, but it concerns me that I wonder how strong those welds are going to hold. It just doesn't look really super clean there. And so then I wonder, is that going to be a weak point moving forward? Probably not. Maybe by then I'll know how to fix it if it ever comes apart. So I don't know. It's probably not an issue, but I just thought I would point that out when I saw some raw looking weld points there. I thought, I don't like the way that looks. But I think this will work out really well. And right now I'm using a fluorescent light that I've used in previous videos over here, and I'm using one of these over there. And so between the two of them, it's kind of flat lighting. I'm not really giving you a key versus fill situation, but the two of them working together, you can see how that looks. I got a little bit of outdoor light spilling through the blinds over here off camera, so that's why some of what you see here is not the best lighting job ever, which is too bad when I'm doing a video about lighting. But I think that for $250, get two of these, plus the power supplies, plus the stands, and then I just add a little bit on my own, like these batteries and another extension cord, some Velcro to make it exactly how I want it. You're still well within a reasonable budget for two very good lights that are LED. They're going to be dependable. They're going to use hardly any electricity. I tested them out, and they're rated at 58 watts for the whole fixture. And I tested it out, and it was more like 54 watts, but nevertheless. And what that means is when you've got one set of LEDs running, you're actually using half that amount. So for me, it was about 27 watts with the one set of LEDs turned up all the way. With the other set turned up all the way, that was the other 27 watts, and that's where I came to the 54 watts that I measured when I used these. So not using very much electricity. I kind of like these just to use as a work light, or whenever we get a power failure at the house, stick these batteries on here, and it gives me a really good amount of light to survive through a power failure for a few hours. It's a great all-around light to have. So far, so good. And I'll probably just leave it at that, unless in the future something disastrous happens and I have to tell you, oh no, these are horrible. But I don't think that's going to happen. So unless I say otherwise, I think this is a good buy, and I hope you have fun with it.